All right, folks, welcome to the Red and White Podcast. I'm not even sure I remember how to do this anymore.
Yeah, it's been a
Dustin, my co-host, how you doing, brother?
while. Good.
So yeah, we haven't recorded in a while. I think give everybody an update of what's happening, what's going on, what's the plans for the future, and our brief thoughts on what's been going on in the Wolfpack world. For the most part, we beat the drum around the Gottfried era in the end of it, and we didn't get too far into what had happened and where we are now. So we won't go back through it. Everybody's heard that story, all the stories 100 times. But Kevin Keatts, how you feel about Kevin Keatts?
I like him, I think. I'm waiting on some kind of hammer to drop where he was the mastermind of the Louisville prostitution ring or something like that. Just because that would be our luck. But I think he seems like a stand-up guy. And I think the style of play may win some games this season for a team that shouldn't win a lot of games, looking at it personnel-wise.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody's just got to rein in the expectations because it's going to be bad for a year or two. But it was going to be with Gottfried, too, you know?
Yeah, I agree there. I think that was kind of, and I think you buy yourself a year by making the coaching switch, at least from the fans' view, right? You don't have to deal with another Gottfried era and then another Gottfried down year, which it was going to be just based on the talent, right? So I don't know. I was on board. I was Archie, Will Wade, Keatts guy in that order, right? Those are the three that I wanted. But I didn't really have any basis for those other than, the Archie connection and all that. But look, if he doesn't want it, he's not interested. I'm not interested. I'll move on. So I like what Kevin Keatts has been saying. I like what people say about him. Really, you don't hear any bad thing come about. Typically, when somebody leaves a job, you hear a lot of, well, he didn't do this or such and such. You hear some grumbling, and you haven't heard any of that, right? You hear ex-players and fans just say positive things about him, and to the point where one of his players, CJ Bryce, transfers from Wilmington to NC State, where Kevin Keatts is, right? That speaks to me. That speaks volumes.
Yeah, that's big.
Yeah, and that was a big recruit from his standpoint, but from a reputation standpoint, if Kevin Keatts wasn't a good guy, a good coach, and hadn't helped CJ Bryce, he would have gone somewhere else. So to me, that's an indication that, what everybody else has been saying, Keatts is a good dude. He's a good coach. He'll do good things. So I'm excited for him. I'm excited for the style of play, at least what he talks about. Gottfried always talked about playing fast, but I don't think we ever averaged more than 60 points a game or somewhere in that range. So this could be different, right? This could be a little bit more Louisville-ish, a little more fast-paced, press-related team, and I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to him coaching that effort, and that effort's what we haven't seen in so long. So I'm excited about it. I'm a typical fan, I guess. At some point, you're like, well, I wanted my guy, and then everybody gets excited about the new guy, right? It's just how it works. It's the psychology of being a fan. But I believe he's got a good chance, right? He's got a good track record, and he's saying all the right things, and seems to be recruiting pretty well. He's using the Gottfried transfer market, which is, what you need to do sometimes. So I'm in. I like it. I think it's good.
I'm anxious to see how State applying defensive pressure works out with officiating. Because that's not supposed to happen. Now Virginia, I mean, they knock you black and blue, but they just play defense. So I feel like their reputation of that fast, aggressive defense earns them leniency, and I'm wondering if that's going to do the same thing for us because I can't imagine that ever happening.
I can't either. I'm hoping Kevin Keatts has better success, sort of changing that reputation from the official standpoint. I'll never forget well, Carolina just doesn't foul as much. You're like, come on now. It's just nonsense. So, yeah, I get it. I don't know what's going to happen. I suspect we'll foul out 5 guys in 30 seconds in one game at some point.
And that's a problem.
It is.
When you look at
but I think
when
at
you
some
look at the
point
depth.
you have to, yeah, you have to lay that out though. You have to. It might have to happen once for people to say, all right, this is how they're going to play. We need to adjust.
Right.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I get what you're saying though. It's not promising from that
No,
standpoint, at least.
That's uncharted territory that I can't imagine going well. But
That's a great question for us to ask uh, Kevin Keats when we get him on the podcast, or
yeah.
A.W. Hamilton. So we'll work on that, people. We'll get some real answers out of them. Um, Other than that, like Omier staying, that was a big recruit for Kevin Keats. I think that's nothing but positive there, even if his past year wasn't what everybody expected it to be, which is tough for a 17-year-old kid playing in the ACC. Didn't get any preseason warm-ups, and the most understated fact is that he's playing in a new country. How many of you could go to a new country, adjust, and perform at your peak level? So I'm curious to see what Kevin Keats can get out of him. I think it'll be good. He's got the range to play, so we'll see what happens.
I'm afraid a lot of his issues last year was coaching. When you look at some of the, remarks and input he got at the combine, it wasn't bad. And it didn't match up with what we saw.
Right.
I don't think he just magically got better in, a month or two. That doesn't make sense. I don't know. I think there was just, you talk about a kid in a new country and add that to what some will call a toxic environment.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a combination that's going to work. It's going to work out,
That's exactly right. I think that's something that people don't talk about enough. And I'd like to see out of Omier a little bit more effort and confidence, and I think that has to come from a coach, right? A coach has to pull that out of him.
Pushed.
He's a kid, right? He's 17 or 18 years old. He needs that push, and that maybe he just needs a hug. I don't know, but by all accounts, Kevin Keats is a better I don't know, people manager or people person. I'm not sure what the right kids person. I'm not sure what the right term is, but I
see, that's weird though.
Understand what I'm talking about.
We always looked at Gottfried as this great motivator.
I don't know about a motivator. At least I never saw that evidence on the floor. I thought he was
got to march.
He was a slickster. I think. Yeah. I think that's the best way to do it, right? The best way to say it is that he can talk to the cameras, he can talk to the press, but did he have that same connection, that same influence with its players? I don't know.
Did he have that same connection with his players that he had with all the women around Raleigh?
We knew it was coming. It was coming.
Yeah. He had lots of connections.
Yeah, so I don't know. We'll see. I like Kevin Keats from that standpoint. I think he did a good job getting Omier to come back, and that should help him tremendously. Now, who's going to shoot the long-range shot? I'm not sure. Terry Henderson gets ramrodded by the NCAA. Somehow equates, 6 minutes on the floor that's been playing a season. That was extremely disappointing. I'm not sure unexpected.
Right?
Yeah, I think it's because it's a transfer. He chose to transfer and all that jazz. But still, man, it's a kid, and you're taking that away from him, and at least not giving him an expedited process. That took a long time for them to say no thanks.
Yeah,
and that was disappointing. But yeah, I don't know. It's been an interesting couple months, I know, for the Pack and for us personally, which is why we haven't been around. I had my second child. You're in school and doing all this other stuff, so that's why our recordings have been few and far between, but we're not going anywhere. We'll be back for the upcoming football season. Which, how are you feeling about that right now? We're in June. What's your June prognosis?
Terrible. Just god awful. Stuff coming out with preseason top 25. No, no, no. That's You're not gonna cuck me rankings. Like every time we have these expectations, we just, just trash it, and we shouldn't. I see why we're ranked where we are.
Yeah.
I mean, that D line is gonna just be a monster, but I don't know if that can win games by itself.
Man, I know. I think what they said. I've seen us in top 10 D lines in the country,
Top five. That's all this
top
week.
five,
Yeah.
uh, top five, and it's I think fourth in the ACC. I think Florida State, Clemson, and who's the other one ahead of us? I think there's three ahead of us.
I don't remember the third one. It was in the
Yeah,
other division, but
yeah, the other division.
or it doesn't matter.
But so you're like, you look at that, and you're like, holy crap, the league could be really stout there, or somebody's really overestimating it. But when who was it, Phil Steele or Athlon, one of them puts us in top 25 or sleepers, you're like, oh crap.
Yeah.
It's the last thing anybody wants to see.
That's my thing. Our D line's so good, but
Yeah.
we've got those other two in the same division, and I feel like their offenses are going to be better than ours. So we don't have a shot against those two. I mean, if you look at it on paper, Clemson we can still get, but I don't know.
Huh. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the offense does. I think the move of Naheem to um, running back
Mm.
gives him a little more flexibility. I think that kind of plays stronger to his strengths, plays to his strengths. Um,
I think the
but you
most
never
important
know.
move we need to look at is Matt Canada to LSU. Man, I wish we could
uh,
have a coordinator like that.
well, I don't know what's going to happen with that. That'll be interesting. Don't- yeah, I have no idea. So strange. So strange. I don't think Drink's bad. I think it'll be. We'll see what happens this year. The offensive line will be, it's mostly intact. We'll lose the center, but Tony Adams is going to slide over to center. I think we'll have. It's got the chance and the opportunity to be a strong offensive unit. They got a lot better last year under Ledford, and I think they'll continue to get better. One of the going back to the defensive line for a second, the question mark I had is how's Kevin Patrick going to replace Ryan Nielsen? Is that transition going to go smoothly? Is it going to help? I think Nielsen was generally regarded as a fantastic coach, definitely a good recruiter, but the performance he got out of the D line, I think everybody was, a big fan. But understandably, he moves on to the NFL, New Orleans Saints. You can't hate a guy for that, but I'm just curious how that transition is going to go and how that's going to impact the defensive line. I did like Kevin Patrick's statement where he said, oh, I'm just trying not to screw it up. Right? These guys are good enough where, don't let me bring them down, get in their way. So I thought that was a great view of it, right? You don't really hear that often. A lot of times, coach is going to come in and try to impart his philosophy and his techniques and whatnot. And he's just like, I'm going to work with what I have. These guys are really good.
Yeah.
So I think that'll be interesting. I was glad to hear that. And I think Doran's he's had a good track record of hiring assistants. I mean, even Matt Canada didn't work out.
Oh, he
It wasn't
hired a
good
good one, but he fired him.
Right. Yes. Right. So I mean, it didn't work out here for him, and that's got to be personality based. I don't think that was skill based. Right. He goes to Pitt, has success. He gets to LSU, but there's not many coaches that get fired or leave because they're underperforming. They leave because they're going up. Coach U left because he was going up. Clayton White left because he was going up. So I think, I give Doran the benefit of the doubt that Drink will be the right guy, and that we'll see. I don't know. We'll see something out of it, right? I don't know. I'm hopeful. it'll be interesting to see what happens. I think they have to win that South Carolina game in Charlotte to establish the right momentum. If they do, that there's going to be a lot of hype going into the first few weeks. That's for sure. They win that game.
Yeah,
But
well, they better. I mean, there's no that South Carolina team is bad. The
yeah, I
only
think they
people that
suck.
lose to Muschamp are Tennessee. Like, there's no reason to lose to them. Their quarterback's like 14 years old. The defense is bottom of the barrel in the SEC. I don't.
yeah, yeah.
You going to that game?
I assume I'll go. It's close to my in-laws. I don't have any plans at the moment, but
Yeah, I got the hookup on a. I want to tailgate in a pool in Uptown Charlotte, like
what?
a 10-minute walk from the stadium, and then just come over for the game.
Well, with your new svelte body type, man, you'd be come
Oh
up in
yeah,
your
yeah.
speedo in 110 degrees.
I
It'd
was thinking about it. Speaking of
be
110, it's gonna be hot, man.
too hot as fuck, man. 2:30, 2:30 or 3 o'clock game, whatever it is, in Charlotte in August. Like, come on.
I think
They couldn't. They didn't do us any favors with that crap.
it's gonna remind me of the actually the state Tennessee game in Atlanta.
Yeah.
It was just
Oh god.
god
For,
awful hot and
yeah.
tailgating on pavement, like just
Hmm.
black asphalt. I remember when we went down, it's like, oh, we don't have a 5 hour minimum. We're gonna get out at like 10 in the morning. Worst mistake of my life. Oh my god, being out there for like 7 hours. Oh,
Yeah. That was a long one. That was
oh,
brutal.
it was so hot,
Yeah.
so miserable. So that's what we got to look forward to in a couple months.
Yeah. I don't know. My June optimistic levels are really high right now. It's pretty standard though. We'll see how that comes crashing down as we get into the season, but
Well,
right now I feel pretty good.
this is
I think
peak.
there's
Wait till next year because next year is not here yet, but it kind of is. So this is our year. This is
yeah.
this is the best time of the year because we can't lose.
Yeah.
Nothing's
I, I
nothing's
think
gonna lose.
I think Doran's done a lot of good things that he's kind of winning the fans back, and it helps, winning your bowl game and kind of ending on that momentum. But like for the recruiting side, the quarterback they got from New Jersey, Devin Leary,
Yeah,
it's
he's
just
got a
been
rocket.
he's got a rocket, and he's just been destroying the camp circuit to the point where everybody's like, is he going to stay with State? Like
Yeah,
he's been killing it, killing it. So Doran's been good at identifying those kids and kind of grooming them, and you know, so I think he's doing the right thing. I know we kind of drilled him at the end of last year, but
no, I'm still on that bandwagon.
yeah, I'm not. I'm
He's
not
he's
the one.
he's only got slack now from everyone because he beat Carolina. If he had lost that game, no, we wouldn't be having this. Oh, we might be good. No, it would have been a disaster.
Yeah, I
And I'm
mean, you
not
could be
a
right.
I'm not a one game earns your job thing. He's got to earn it this year. He lucked
He
out
definitely
last year.
does. He definitely does. He's got to win 8. He's got to win 8.
Yeah.
I think that's doable. Um, yeah, I don't know. I'm your classic fan. I don't hold the grudge. I was angry at the end of last year, or at the end of the regular season and halfway through the season. I was like, man, that's frustrating as hell because you see how close they were. Then you step back and like, man, they were really close. They're a kicker away from
Yeah,
having a really good season,
I see that side
even
of
though
it
it
too.
didn't seem like, even though they didn't play that well. It seems at a time. So yeah, I don't know, man. Right now it's June, so I feel fine. I feel good about it. There's a lot of positive talk. That part scares me, but the rest of it, I think uh, I'm looking forward to it
All right.
for some reason. Can we talk about how? Well, you might not know, but I'm sure some people would like to talk about how the new parking spot selection system went in the ticket selection system. And I know I had some frustrations with it, and from all accounts, everybody else did. So basically, you had 5 minutes and some random day they picked for you to sign in and pick your parking spot. My issue with it for a long time was I get a ton of emails, a ton of letters from the Wolfpack clubs. I don't know which ones I need to pay attention to. There's just a lot of them, right? And so I'm reading one of them, and it's like, here's your seat and parking selection process. I'm like, all right, cool. And I just tried to move our seats up one row. They were open, one row, and is like, no, you can't do that. So I emailed them like, oh no, this is only for parking selection. I was like, it says seat and parking selection. Well, it's seats for annuals, so not lifetime rights, folks. It's like, I'm trying to move up one row. They're open. Let me move them up. I thought it was really confusing. It was a little frustrating. The parking selection by the time we got to, our Wolfpack Club spot is not great. And even some of the guys that are higher up, like, I don't know what the priority was or, you know, how fast it filled up, but man, it filled up. There wasn't a whole lot of selection. And, I think one of our guys is fairly high up there. But, I mean, in conception, it's a really good idea. I thought the execution was not the best.
Right.
And I know there's a lot of people were frustrated with it. So if anybody's got any comments on it, tweet at us, let us know. I'd love to hear what you thought, good or bad. But yeah, I don't have a whole lot. It's June. We're going to come back and record. The dust will settle here a little bit. Babies will get routine. Dustin will figure out how to graduate, and we'll start recording on a regular schedule again. But we felt like we were beating a dead horse and didn't want to talk too much about the same thing over and over and over again. And everybody else is, trying to do it as well. So,
read an interesting thing yesterday. One more thing to bring up. Speaking of game day environment with seats and parking and all that, it was an article. It may have been in the NNO. I don't know, but was talking about beer and selling beer, and they spoke about Carolina, Duke, and State, and Duke was kind of, oh well, it's not really something we think, blah blah blah. Carolina's like, well, it's something we'll look at. But Debbie Yow was the one who was like, well, that's something we'll definitely look at, but we'd like to do it at the same time as UNC or ECU or something like that, like a statewide thing as opposed to a private thing. But why would you not sell beer?
I don't know, man. I think there's a lot of revenue. I mean, everybody who's done it, there's a ton of revenue. My only concern or my only guess would be is that we just don't have the concessions to support it. I mean, our concessions they're terrible.
Right.
They're few and far between. The bathroom situation is not great. But at the same time, you could probably pay for that by selling beer.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll sell a lot of beer. People are gonna get drunk regardless. At least now you're gonna profit off of it, right? You're gonna make some money on it.
And I think it was West Virginia that talked about that they did it to cut down on binge drinking.
Right.
And their reports of problems have dropped significantly because students can go in and drink. Well, not the underage ones, but they're going to drink outside anyway, either way. But the ones, people we tailgate with would benefit from not binge drinking before the game.
How many times are we like, all right, got it, we're going in, let's shotgun some beers.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I'm not saying that won't happen, but it might
sell canned beer
decrease.
And have a shotgun sanctioned area in Carter Finley.
Like the cigarettes?
Yeah, smoking area and a shotgun area. Or you can just combine them where you're allowed to just throw your can on the ground and woo and take off. Sorry about that was loud, but sometimes you feel it.
That was great. The revenue is there. They have to execute it. I don't know why you would wait for anybody else other than I don't know. It makes sense. People are going to drink regardless. Why not?
Make money off of it.
Right. Go in the bathrooms. Look at there's like bottles of liquor. I mean, I'm talking about airplane bottles. I'm talking about fifths of liquor. Yeah. People have poured into their drinks.
Until you figure out a way to figure out if a woman has something between her upper area. Oh, there's going to be all kinds of mini bottles in there. A fifth is, that's something special, but at least mini bottles. When
a woman with double D's is
she's a hot
perfect
commodity.
Yeah, she is a hot commodity in tailgating world.
That's valid real estate come Saturdays.
Yeah.
But when you go in the men's room above the urinals, please don't throw liquor bottles in urinal.
Yeah.
I mean, just take advantage of it. Sell Jack and Cokes like they do at Walnut Creek. Like those pre-made Jack mixed whiskey drinks in the bottles. Hey.
Yeah, right. There's definitely an opportunity for it. I think they need to get it. They need to explore that probably faster than they would think. People, I mean, people are going to get hammered. It's just, I would probably buy a beer, especially. I mean, what fan base is more frustrated and needs to drink more than we do,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
Especially early start
I,
games in the summer. You know,
yeah,
you don't
yeah.
have to give out water if you sell beer.
It's Bud Light's the same thing.
Yeah.
I think there's I don't understand what the concerns are other than perception, maybe. But I'm thinking it also probably keeps people in at halftime too. They don't have to go to their car and
Yeah, it would
shop
definitely
a
help
beer
the
and come
crowd.
back.
Definitely
So
help the crowd.
it'll be interesting. It's inevitable. I think as ticket sales struggle, and just not from us, but in general, you have to compete with sitting on my couch in front of a 60-inch TV. Well, you better woo me.
Hmm.
And I think that's just sports in general these days. So you have to make the experience as good as possible, and right, you have to cater to the fans. It's just something you have to do. It's worth trying, at the very least. So
Absolutely.
yeah, but I don't know. That's all I got. It's we'll be back. I enjoyed this. So if anybody else has any suggestions for us or whatnot, we'll probably be recording a couple times in July, and then we'll get back into it regularly scheduled program in August when football season's right upon us. But that's all I got. What you got, man?
Nothing.
All right. Hope everybody's having a good summer. And go Pack.
Go Pack.